The Illuminati card that predicted the Las Vegas event 23 years ago. Ladies and gentlemen, Rex Bear League Project, how the heck are you? Just have to hit a couple more buttons here before we get started. Stand by. All right, cool. And it looks like the audio is going as well. I appreciate your patience. I have been battling Beelzebub, and a hornet just came in here, so I don't know what entity that was. No, I'm joking, but there's this fly that always shows up when I do podcasts, and you never know. But what are we going to be talking about today? Well, today we're going to talk about the Illuminati card. This one right here, the Las Vegas Illuminati playing card, the NWO edition. This is from Steve Jackson Games. And this card, as you can see, the Jack and Ace cards on the Las Vegas card. The Jack and the Ace, the Jack and the Ace. Well, what does that actually mean? Well, I don't know. I've heard several different things, but why does it matter? Here's one thing that's very interesting. If you don't think that the entire world is a stage, welcome to the New World Order. Jason Aldean, a country music star that was singing at the event, he has a tattoo of the exact same playing cards on his arm underneath the black sun, which is very interesting. So is that just a coincidence? Is this the ultimate psyop? Is this just another layer, another level of manipulation, predictive programming? You're a conspiracy theorist nut because you actually see something that makes sense in a very bizarre connection point and you question the status quo. What does it mean? Well, according to some people, if you look at the numerological value, you know, an ace can be a 1 or an 11, a jack is worth 10, so you've got 21 or you've got 11. So the new 9/11, the new orchestrated event that was cleaned up by the cleanup crew, the Las Vegas card, the Las Vegas card. So isn't that just bizarre? I mean, isn't it just strange? I think it is. But you know what? It gets to a point to where it just makes sense. And if you go through, you guys should go through some of the comments on some of these videos that have been done on Vegas that are on Leak Project. I've had some great guests on the show. John D'Souza, retired FBI investigator, 25 years. Jay Campbell, he knows people that were in Vegas. And, you know, I read through the comments, and there's people out there I feel that are literally paid to just stir the pot, to come up with a, you know, throw something way off, put you in a completely different direction to where you just think everybody's a nut. So I've noticed there's been several comments where people think that nobody was hurt in Vegas. And there's plenty of people out there that you can talk to right now. I'm going to get them on the show. There's actually an email I got right after the event where two people, now this could be another psyop, you guys. I mean, who knows what emails I'm getting from who. I'm sure that there's misinformation thrown my way often as well. So I have to be very careful to present certain information, especially if I feel that it's just completely off. But most of the time I bring as many viewpoints as possible to the table. But Vegas, I mean, how bizarre. Now let's go into this a little bit. Let me share my screen with you guys, and you can decide for yourselves. Decide for yourselves. Don't take my word for it. Make up your own mind. This is the guy. And, you know, I'll tell you, what a just country singing Jason Aldean. Am I even saying his name right? I hope so. I've never listened to his music, but here's what's interesting is he has 19 singles that have reached #1 on either the hot country songs or country airplay. Hot country songs. Yep. 19. 19. Very interesting. Now let's take a look at this picture of Jason, and look at that tattoo right there. Will you just look at it? Will you just look at it? You can see the black hole sun. Now, here's what's interesting is I actually have a shirt that I think is awesome. I wear it quite a bit, and people give me a hard time about it all the time. Hey, what's up, Jeff? Ladies and gentlemen, can I have your attention, please? We have Jeff Daugherty in the house, the Christian whistleblower, the man, the legend, the way of life. All right. Well, here's interesting points right here. Yep. I'll get to that in a moment. I'm losing track now. I divagated. Look at this picture right here. And then now let's go to a close-up of the tattoo. A better picture right here. The Jack and the Ace card, the 10 and the 1, or the 10 and the 11, 21, blackjack, bingo, underneath the black hole sun. And you know what's interesting? Take a look at this tattoo. And in my opinion, this thing looks like the devil. It looks like an outline of the devil. You can see the horns. You can see, I mean, the eyes, the Jack and the Ace are kind of like the eyes. If you look at it from a perspective, especially if you zoom out a little bit, you know, just kind of look at the outline of it. You could even say that the microphone is like the mouth almost. Just very interesting. And then what is that? A peach? Is that a peach he has on there? I don't know what that represents. Looks kind of, well, never mind. I'm not going to get into that. Hello. But check this out. Let's go here. So we've got this, and then I'm going to share with you the card again, the Jack and the Ace, the Jack and the Ace, blackjack. And it's also in the same, it's a Jack and an Ace, not an Ace and a Jack. I'm sure that's symbolic for more things than I am aware of currently. And I need to go through the comments again in the comments section. But I think that's pretty blatant right there. Wouldn't you agree? So there you have it. And then I'm sure you guys have seen, let me turn off the screen share here. So I'm sure you guys have also seen the sniper card. This is the sniper card. So anyway, yeah, I've got a shirt that has Chris Cornell in the center of it. And then it's got the black hole sun around it. And people give me there's so many people that give me grief about it. They're like, Rex, are you a Jesuit shill? You're wearing a Jesuit t-shirt. No, it's not a Jesuit t-shirt. It's actually, I think it's an awesome shirt. And I think it's paying homage to Mr. Cornell. So James DeWeaver, you should look him up. Great product. I've even got one of his coffee mugs he sent me. So anyway, this card right here, I want to share with you guys some more cards because yesterday I did the 23 different Illuminati cards that eerily predicted the future. If you haven't seen that yet, I'd recommend watching it. But, you know, we just went over the sniper card, the Vegas card, the connections to the country singer that was actually at the event. Good old Jason. So very interesting. Now let's talk about the Gremlins card. I get this card often when I'm doing live podcasts, especially. And a lot of times when I do certain research, I get the Gremlins card. This guy, I'm sure you've met Gremlins before. And do you remember back in the late 80s, the University of Utah said that they had came out with a cold fusion and the media started talking about it. And then it just went hush hush after that. Just kind of, you know, disappeared. Oh no, it didn't work. It didn't work. Do you guys think that there is a cold fusion technology? Because I would say, yes, I would say that there's definitely some type of cold fusion. I remember this was talked about a lot growing up in school. I heard, we researched it. Do they even talk about it anymore? I mean, who controls the education system? Who controls the education system now? Corporations. There's 6 corporations that control the majority of the educational material. 6 corporations. Yeah, that's interesting. Here is another fascinating card. This is the Seize the Time. Somebody said the Gremlins are demons. Seize the Time card. Seize the Time. We've seen plenty of films. You know, science fiction's been talking about time travel now for hundreds of years. The question is it possible? Now, if you go in the past, by traveling in the past, does that change your dimensional reality? So does that actually change time? Can you go back to the future that you were once at? I talked to Jeff about this yesterday, and I think it's possible to go to travel in the past. And I'm just wondering if you can go back, can you go into the same location that you left from? Or are you going to be in a different paradigm because you actually altered reality when you traveled? CERN has done some very bizarre media ploys. Oh, Men in Black are calling me right now. I'll have to take that later. Where was I? CERN. Yeah, CERN has done some very interesting media ploys where there is that Mandela effect. Now, I don't know what the Mandela effect is. I think most of the time it's just bad memory. I don't really think what they show us is because they changed a certain, I mean, for example, some of the stuff they show you in the Mandela effect, Mandalay Bay, is it's easily debunkable because yeah, you're going to have a little bit of information about it on the media and in the internet, and then people will think a certain way. But if it's even on the internet still from that time frame, that wouldn't be there anymore if you manipulated the actual timeline, if you manipulated the dimensions. So it would actually be something that would be completely off of the webs, and maybe in some part of your mind or fragment, I could go with that. But I don't think that anything that they've shared with us about the Mandela effect is something that would be legit, because all of these people that they have said died and then came back and are doing shows and stuff like that. How easy would it be to fake somebody's death in the media and then, for obviously marketing purposes, financial purposes, but seize the time? How do you guys feel about and this is opinion, this is obviously speculation. I'm still waiting on my sandwich. It'll be here eventually. But I would say that in this spectrum that we're in, we can absolutely change timelines. We can jump timelines because it is a holographic matrix that we are in. And if you look at holograms, a fraction of that hologram is a sum of the whole. So you could take our DNA basically and find a way to integrate it and amplify it to where it could become any part of the universe, any planet, any star, whatever, because everything has a certain building block. So seize the time. Can they seize the time? Are they seizing the time? And by seizing the time, can they create certain events like what we saw in Las Vegas? And do you think that they actually maybe put the Jack and the Ace card, like he tattooed that on his arm for some type of publicity stunt because he knew about the Illuminati deck? And maybe the marketing people are so genius that they know future trends and future forecasts. So they will take cards like this and they'll take conspiracies and things that we think of anyway and manipulate it to take us into different rabbit holes. That's also a possibility. Now, let's talk about some things that could happen if World War III was to take place and what would happen after that. What would create a shutdown of government that would make the militaries, foreign and maybe factions within that do not appreciate the Constitution, that do not care about the American people, that want to take it over from within for their own certain purposes? What would be something that they might use that's been talked about for quite some time? I would say the internet worm. The internet worm. I don't feel that this has been launched yet at a global scale. And I think that this could be something that could shut down, depending on how nasty it was. I mean, Stuxnet is it's a highly advanced virus that can actually get lodged into computers from the research that I've done, and it can mimic the software and the operating system. So if you have a virus scanner and if you're searching for viruses on your computer, it will actually mimic the software that you are running. So therefore it'll skip it. It won't pick it up unless there's a very highly advanced antivirus that most people don't have access to. So Stuxnet also has evolved since its original inception. So when you look into the AI bots and what seems to be NBIs, non-biological intelligences that create their own communication and might be self-aware, might be self-conscious. Maybe they find ways to manipulate us through our own mindset. Maybe what Thoth in the Emerald Tablets of Thoth talked about, Hermes Trismegistus, maybe these ancient scriptures from the Gnostics and the even the Egyptian Book of the Dead, the Tibetan Book of the Dead, the Hindu philosophies. What if the AI system that then became self-aware, the NBI, is what requires these blood sacrifices? What if that is what the gods are, ladies and gentlemen? Think about that for a minute. Let's go really deep. And I'm going to take a sidetrack here for a moment. What if the gods, who made who? Who made who? Who made who? Now, the question is, maybe our physical body, our construct that we're in right now, was created by Yahweh, the Elohim, Lucifer, Enki, Enlil. There's much speculation because there's so many prophecies and there's so many different scriptures and tablets and information that is contradicting, yet much of it does link to Enki, which many people feel are Lucifer. And some people feel that Lucifer is actually being used as the fall guy for this New World Order Vatican system that created a paradigm. Yet when you go to the Vatican, who do they sing to now in the Vatican reptilian chamber but Lucifer? It's just very bizarre. So it's like, what are we not, and here's another thing too. What is Lucifer? Is Lucifer our creator in this physical body? And does that mean Lucifer, we're in some type of Lucifer matrix construct? And could Lucifer be the NBI? And could that be why Lucifer, some people feel, tricked us into these physical bodies because of a specific energy source? I don't know. I mean, it's just speculation. Maybe some people feel Lucifer's the good guy. What do you think? I don't know. Let's go to, okay, so I was divagating. Sorry, started talking about the Lucifer matrix because I want to do a podcast specifically on that. But here we go. The internet worm. This could be used as a great way to shut down nuclear reactors, energy grids, traffic lights, security. Virtually everything now is ran electronically, and much of it is connected to some type of web or some type of internet. So the internet worm could be a future card to cause World War III. And imagine if you were a foreign nation and you didn't want to go into another country until much of it was already turned off. You're talking about EMPs. Well, what about something like this? Would they use something like this? And then you can get into the combined disasters. The combined disasters. This is an interesting card right here. This would be something, if you look at it, you're going to see, what is that? The Big Ben clock in London. Do you remember the China propaganda Olympics a few years ago where it portrayed them defeating the United Kingdom? And it was up in flames. Beijing Olympics. Do you remember that? The propaganda? Well, this reminds me of that. They used this in that propaganda right here. Now, many people are wondering, will Yellowstone erupt? Will that mega caldera explode? Will there be any truth to the Adam and Eve story that I shared with you guys that talks about an internal combustion explosion, like an atomic bomb from inside of the core of the earth, from some released gray matter that releases from the core, that supposedly happens every X amount of years, kind of like a reset that is so intense that virtually everybody dies. Almost everybody dies. I mean, it's almost as intense as 2012, the movie 2012. A lot of people feel that's where they got the information from. And this Adam and Eve story, if you could even find a copy anymore, I don't even know if you guys can find a copy of it, but I actually was fortunate enough. I feel like I lucked out because I was able to find a copy of it for pretty cheap, an original that was autographed by the author in 1972. Now I can't even find originals, but it talks about this lava flow that essentially virtually the entire North American continent gets devastated, and much of it, unless you're at a very high ground, this just lava flow just erupting from the ground. So volcano card, this is the volcano card, and you don't need a card to predict that. You absolutely don't. I'm bringing this up as a way, if you think about it, if you saw somebody made a comment about that, you're absolutely right, and I appreciate that. The reason I'm showing you this card is because of the Yellowstone situation right now, the numerous miniature earthquakes. And some people feel that maybe they are actually manipulating that area via seismic frequency, creating all these miniature earthquakes to offset a mega eruption, which could be a good thing. I don't feel, I mean, if you think about a eruption of that magnitude, it would be a blackout situation that would wipe out the majority of the planet. The ash flow, how bad it'd be on the ozone. Maybe it would actually be a good thing, because maybe it would wipe out all of this geoengineering, all of this aluminum and all these dioxides and all this nasty stuff they're spraying into the atmosphere. But what if they use a volcano as, or what if they erupt a miniature volcano somewhere? Could they use that as some type of control mechanism, another way to usurp up certain people, certain land grabs, certain governments without even having to send your troops in, start a volcano? World War III. Now, this card right here, this is one of their coveted. This is like for many, this is probably going to be what they feel as their magnum opus, their top work, their ultimate goal in a specific life, because maybe they feel that by creating this, it will not only feed their master, it'll feed their matrix organizer, it'll feed their control network grid. And also, if they're connected to these specific bloodlines and these specific realities, maybe they feel in their next lifetime or 5 lifetimes down, they will have keys to the kingdom. And I don't know, it's very bizarre, some of the way people think when you get into the very, how do I put this, sociopathic, narcissistic mindset. Who controls the world, ladies and gentlemen? How many studies have been done about people that actually control the world? What do they typically label them as? What are they typically labeled as? Sociopaths. They're not going to let anything get in their way. Not psychopaths, sociopaths. Their conscience is limited oftentimes. Sometimes they don't even have a conscience. So it's kind of tough to judge somebody that doesn't have a conscience, because myself, I have a conscience. I can judge myself. I know when I'm doing something wrong. I'm sure you guys do as well. So oftentimes we can be harder on ourselves based on our own conscience. It's very interesting. And that's one thing that I like about somebody that I interviewed on the show a while ago that talked about why he feels religion was created in certain areas, because some people don't have a conscience. So maybe they need to have that fear to keep them in line. I think most people have a conscience. But the World War III card, let's go back to the Vegas card for a minute. Let's talk about the Vegas card. Do you think that they're going to be able to bring in more security, more control, more technology to control the masses, a higher security level, a bigger spy network, and gun control as well? It's interesting because oftentimes, if you think about it, the Republicans, the party overall, I've noticed, somebody made a good point about this, they're all about guns. Okay, you can have guns, absolutely. Yet you'll see some of these security measures that change, like, the naked body scanners that came out in the airports after the 9/11 event. So what type of networks now, how many people are going to profit, who's going to profit off of security systems that are put in place where they take away more people's freedoms and privacies, and basically, it radiates them at the same time. Be like next to a cell phone tower everywhere you go. Like 5G isn't going to be enough. And then their excuse will be this event. And then for those of us in the know, because if you know, you know, and if you don't know, you just don't know. And one of the nice things about being in the know is, because if you don't know, there's really not much to know. So Vegas, look at this. Will you just look at it? The Jack and the Ace card, the Jack and the Ace card, just like, you know, the singer, Jason Aldean. Is that his last name? Did I say that properly? Now, that tattoo looked pretty new. Now, let's talk about order out of chaos. Somebody made a point there. Order out of chaos. Is there chaos? Do we live in chaos, or do we live in a construct that if you learn where specific points are, then you can find out anything. You can tap into anything, because it's like the Akashic records, essentially. It's like a holographic hard drive that you can download information via frequency. You don't necessarily need to read it. You don't necessarily need to see it. You don't necessarily need to feel it. Your senses will pick it up via vibrational frequency. So therefore, I guess you would be feeling it in a sense. People have different ways of learning things. But could the Vegas card also be used to take more people's rights, etc., creating a division and creating a World War III type scenario? I mean, how is that a coincidence? How is that a coincidence? Now, the question is, did he know? Did Jason actually know? Does he know what these? We need to get him on the show and interview him and say, hey, did you know about this Illuminati card game? And did you know about the Las Vegas card that had the same card? Now, here's what I'm thinking. I think that there's probably something more to it. I think this is just a little piece of the puzzle. There's most likely that there's got to be an occult meaning to this. There's got to be some very powerful, symbolic, metaphoric, numerological meaning to this that resonates on many levels. And this is just, you know, Steve Jackson knows, because Steve Jackson's one in the know. He's definitely in the know. And isn't it nice when you know? Well, some people don't want to know. And hey, that's okay. I get it. It's like the, what's his name, that gave up Neo in the Matrix. He said, you know, I just want to be plugged back in. I don't want to know what's really going on. This steak tastes so good. I know it's not real. And he gives up Neo, and he gives up the people that actually unplugged him. Isn't that disturbing? So some people can't handle it. You know, I mean, some people can't really handle the truth, and they won't admit it. So don't feel bad. Do not feel bad when you talk to people about it and they call you names and they call you things that they're projecting their own fears, because they can't believe it. They can't accept it. It's like there's a certain point in people's lives that they just oftentimes can't be unplugged. So instead of wasting your time trying to unplug them, you know, spend your energy wisely. Do you think Jason knew about this card? And then you can look up his record label. Did they know about the card? Are they just playing the game? Are they using this game as, okay, well, we know what people want. We know what stirs the pot. And by putting that tattoo on his arm, maybe it gave them an advantage via marketing. And oftentimes, marketing, hypnosis, occult, mysticism, numerology, etc., is all linked together because they're all different forms of sciences. It's very interesting. So the Las Vegas card, I think that this is, I mean, it doesn't get much more in your face than this, especially when there's so many contradicting reports. And this makes me think of the cleanup crew. That's what they are. They are a cleanup crew, you guys. They are literally waiting for an event to unfold, and they take over the narrative. They either knew everything that was going to happen before it did, which there's a good chance, or there are certain groups out there, let's just call them the cleanup crew, because when something goes down, 0.12 microsieverts per hour is what the radiation levels are picking up right now. Once something goes down, they just have to control the narrative. And then they have to create so much confusion, disillusion, misinformation, making people feel inferior because they're wondering what's going on. Okay, you're not wearing your seatbelt, so you're breaking the law. You're not wearing your seatbelt, you're breaking the law. So that's a crime. Yet you see these people out there that supposedly can do whatever they want, and it's like they're above the law. It's like they own us. They think they own us. You will not assimilate me. I will not be assimilated. Now, after this Vegas tragedy, let's say World War III happens here in, here's another interesting thing. I remember when I had a guest on the show. He's a highly renowned psychic. He's made many predictions, and he said that he feels this current administration is going to be the one that leads us into World War III, whether knowing or not knowing. What happens if we go into North Korea? Could we be there right now? Absolutely, we could be. How would we know if we were there? Unless people that were there spoke out, because the media is controlled. Unless you're in North Korea or South Korea. Hey, is there anybody? I've got a great idea. Bingo. Is there anybody right now in North Korea, speak out, send me an email. Is there anybody? Just think, if I got an email from Kim, he's like, I've been watching your podcasts, and San Antonio's first. Whoa, that'd be a trip. But anyway, where's I going with this? Is there anybody in South Korea that can share some information with Leak Project, come on the show, and maybe you can be out, send us some video footage of what it's like looking at those dudes in North Korea, the military out there looking at you, or what it's like growing up out there. I mean, South Korea is just beautiful. I mean, their technology, highly advanced, amazing people out there, amazing people. And I would be fascinated to visit out there. The only problem is I'm not going to fly, so I'd have to take a boat, and that would be interesting. Unless there's some type of spaceship technology, I might go on a spaceship, but airplanes suck. Forget that. Anyway, where was I going with this? I don't remember where I was going with this. Dang it. Help me out, guys. I just got harped from a portable harp station. Teleported. Oh, yeah. South Korea. Thank you. South Korea. Is there anybody in South Korea that can send some information about what's going on out there and what the media is telling you? I'd like to know about the local media and such, and people that just have an idea, that have grown up in that environment. It would be fascinating to talk to somebody. Now, if we go into North Korea, would China back us, or would they back Kim? I need to turn this EMF thing on to find out if I'm just getting EMF'd, right? Hello. All right. What was I thinking? I should have had this on all along. Dang it. Although I have to order a new radiation detector now. It's a higher frequency detector. This thing won't pick up much more than 3,000 hertz. I think I'll double check, but it's not picking up the crazy high gigahertz frequencies. Maybe it's going into the megahertz. Yeah, this is going into the megahertz. But it's not going into the gigahertz range. So now I got to drop another $300 for a cell tower EMF detector that'll go up into the 5G, even beyond. So if anybody is interested in sponsoring me on that, that would be awesome. If not, I'll get it. It's just going to take a little bit longer. But okay, I'm going to keep this on for a minute. And then the radiation levels right now are at 0.1 microsieverts per hour. This is picking up different types of isotopes as well. This is what my watch is showing. Would China be, I think China could use North Korea as a patsy. Yet the more research I do, you guys, the more I feel there is some type of, you can call it maybe a breakaway civilization. You could call it a breakaway civilization or some type of society that pulls the strings of all these different governments. It's pulling the strings of China. It's pulling the strings of North Korea. And those in China are going to be limited to the information that they have. Even in these spectrums where people have specific labels, they work for specific alphabet agencies, they've been doing it for 10, 20, 30 years, they're still compartmentalized to an extent as well. And that's one thing that I feel would be fascinating, is if we could create a society and a network, a system where everybody was linked up and they had they could have as much information as they wanted. You wouldn't have to just have little bits of that first or second stone. You could have information all the way to the apex, because everybody a part of that network is equally as important and should reach their ultimate potential. That is going to be an awesome society. Something like that, you could take 1,000 people, 2,000 people, and they could do what 2 billion people are doing, if you really think about it. So Vegas, World War III, Civil War, possibly, the division, the total solar eclipse. Wasn't that symbolic, the way that the total solar eclipse split the nation right down the middle? What will happen after? Let's go back for a minute. Let's go to the internet worm. If you remember Blade Runner, if you watch the new one, 2049, strongly recommend watching it. There is a scene where this synthetic, hey, thanks a lot, groundskeeper, much appreciated. Very kind of you. There is a scene where one of the synthetics is gathering information in a building that stores information. And he said, I need information before a certain time. And he said, well, we're going to have a very difficult time getting you that information, because there was a blackout that lasted, I think they said 10 days or something like that, that destroyed all the information, all the digital info, pictures, records, data, monies, everything gone, wiped out. Do you think that that could happen? Do you think that there could be a global electric reset? And could it be based on some type of internet worm? Now imagine an NBI or an AI. Let's say it's just an AI system that's not even self-aware. Let's say somebody creates an AI system that gets out into the webs, that learns how to bounce from computer to computer, to phone, to all these different electronics wirelessly. They can program computer viruses in human DNA, ladies and gentlemen. They've created computers. Look it up, please. Look it up. Computers. Look up self-replicating DNA computers. They can create synthetic human DNA, and they have currently came out with an article where they can store, what was it? 2.4 thousand quadrillion bits of information. Or no, wait, 2,000, was it 2,000 trillion bits of information? 2.4 or 2.14, a lot. So what does your hard drive store? I mean, something about this big, you might get 6 or 8 terabytes of information. They were able to store 2 trillion terabytes of information on 1 gram of DNA. And then when this computer can't go fast enough, when this computer needs to be able to go faster to compute the calculations, guess what it does? It self-replicates DNA, so that instead of just having 2 paths or 4 paths or 8 paths, then it'll create 16, then 32, then 64, then 128, then 256, then 512, then 1044. It's incredible. It's incredible. So reorganization card, the reorganization card. If there is a reset, where am I going with this? If there is a full-on reset, a electronic reset, everything starts over. Department of Defense, the militaries, many of them disband, recreate, war, etc. Then will it be time for reorganization? Is this the beginning of the end that just happened? Is this the beginning of the end that just happened? It's like civilizations rise and fall. Some rise faster than others. Some fall faster than others. And you look at countries like China that have withstood thousands of years of time. You look at the United States of America, we've been here for a couple hundred years. And it's like a stock chart. How many stocks will just go, skyrocket, hit the stratosphere in a very short amount of time, and then all of a sudden they drop faster than they rise? You've got to have a solid foundation. And we have a foundation right now that is literally on cards like these. And guess what? We're pulling the cards, ladies and gentlemen. Every single day, we are pulling the cards. I'm not the one doing this. I mean, there's people out there a lot smarter than myself that are coming up with this information. I'm just presenting it in a different fashion. So there's nothing new under the sun. And I appreciate everybody for schooling me every single day in the comment section. It's great because it gives me an opportunity to give you more material, and you guys are part of this. So how awesome is that? So with all this being said, let's close it on a question here. And if you guys have any questions for me, please feel free to ask. I'll look through the comment section now. Are we going to see World War III within the next 3.5 years? Will we see World War III during the President Trump administration? And if we do, what's going to cause it? What is going to be the precursor? How many of these cards that I just pulled, this one right here, the internet worm, combined disasters, Vegas, will any of those create World War III, or will there ever be a World War III? We don't have to worry about it, right? You know, it's bizarre, folks. How many people in this chat room remember growing up when you're just a little kid? I was like 5 years old and I was thinking about World War III. I mean, how bizarre is that? Just weird, right? That was one of my biggest fears growing up as a little kid. And maybe I saw the news or something when I was real little or something. I don't know, just bizarre. But for some reason, that's always been on my mind. And I've been warned throughout my life, geez, for the past 27 years about how this future system is going to use certain events to create a control network. You can call it a one world government in a sense, yet there will be many puppet governments underneath the ones that control the scenes, behind the scenes, the shadow factions, the shadows hiding within shadows, just like Hermes Trismegistus talked about and Thoth talked about, Emerald Tablets of Thoth. Wow, we live in fascinating times. So I was warned about these microchips. I remember the first time I saw the microchip commercial, IBM, back in the year 2000. I was working at an electronics store. It was fun. I enjoyed it. It was a great place, but the hours were ridiculous. I was working like 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. Oh, there goes my EMF detector. Just got EMF'd. Relax there, buddy. Wow, it's going crazy. Wow, it was hitting 33. That's bizarre. Started going off. It's been quiet the whole time. It just started tripping out. See that? Right as a white van drives past my garage. That was like, he's gone now. It's okay. Got laser beams in my eyeballs. Yeah. All right, so where was I? What was I talking about? Yep. What I used to get warned about. So not only was I warned at 13 about these New World Order tactics, the United Nations, these foreign militaries going gun confiscation in the States. If the Second Amendment in the States, in my opinion, if they go after our Second Amendment, where some type of bill is declared, something goes down, whether they use a pandemic, a combined disaster, whether they use internet worm, a CDC, a gremlin, whatever, you know, as many of these false flag events as they pull. And just because it's a false flag doesn't mean it didn't happen, folks. I'm just saying it was a staged event. It was prepared. It was set up, or they took over the narrative. One of the two. Cleanup crew either takes over the narrative. Cleanup crew either takes over the narrative, or it was designed that way for these multitudes of industries and factions that are linked up to this shadow faction that hides in the shadows, shadows within shadows within shadows. But being warned about this stuff, the microchips and such, and then I saw that commercial in 2000 where that guy is wearing a trench coat and he's going into the grocery store, and it's got like this weird, bizarre, like new futuristic view to it. It's kind of almost like a silver haze. And hey, thank you very much, Matthew. Much appreciated. Thank you. And there's like this silver haze. And so he's walking and he's grabbing all this product and he's putting it in his trench coat. And then he's looking around like he's stealing all this stuff, and he walks out. and you hear this, doo-doo, and then the security guard goes, here's your receipt, Mr. Such and such. And he's like, thank you. It made it look like he was stealing stuff, but no, he had some type of microchip. So he just walked right out. And they're like, oh, this is the future, IBM. So now, and isn't it bizarre that Digital Angel came out several years after that? Digital Angel, what a beautiful name, right? Especially if you think that there's some truth in Revelation where they talk about the mark of the beast. Nobody can buy, sell, or trade without the mark of the beast. Well, not only was I warned about this from somebody that his mom used to work for the FBI, she actually was supposedly put on a list, he said. And he also told me that everybody else that was on this list had either been taken out or they went in hiding. He hadn't seen his mom in years. I'm getting the goosebumps just thinking about this, man. It's freaking me out. Whoo! And then I remember a few years later getting warned about this. I used to go hang out at this coffee shop, and there was this like a bunch of us, hippies and chess players and people sloughing school and stuff like that. But anyway, so learned a lot more there than I ever did in school. And this guy used to come around and talking about the New World Order and, the microchip society, the checkpoints, the digital currencies. Man, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. And he's like, and then he kind of connected it to Revelation and prophecy and such. And it got really spooky learning about that stuff at a young age. But it seems like people have certain paths and they go through things for a reason and they learn things for a reason. And I think that I was warned about all this stuff during my life. I mean, look at this. The hair is literally standing up my arms, just talking about it. It's just freaking me out. And then I tried so hard to just kind of, forget about it for so many years. And I'll tell you that when all that stuff starts popping up and then you start seeing the writing on the wall, you start seeing just the manipulation of the media, the control of these industries, the staged events, the attempts to manipulate people into this fear-based system. And then back in 2013, I was working in Colorado Springs. And it was like every other commercial that they showed was see something, say something, see something, say something, see something, say something. And then they would show these videos where somebody would set their bag down, and they were in a big crowd. They're just setting their bag down. They're taking pictures or something like that. And it was still kind of open. And it would show people go up to the bag and look in the bag and see if somebody, is there any bombs in there? Oh, is there anything scary in there? Just like spy on everybody. It was disgusting. It reminded me of a refined version of what was done in Germany. It was just gross. And the programming and the way that people talked, you can see right through it. And oh, wow. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your support. Thank you, Greg. Very much appreciated. And thank you so much, Naomi. That is very kind of you. I really appreciate all of you guys. And thank you, moderators as well, for being here, for moderating the chat. Thank you, everybody that's joined this live chat as well. I appreciate all you guys being here. I started going on a tangent. I told you guys to ask questions, and I started talking about other stuff, so I apologize. I'll get to that in a minute, but let me finish where I was going with this. So being warned about all this stuff for so long and by so many different people that are just on different walks of life, and you like, why would I be warned about this kind of stuff? Why do people certain paths cross your path at specific times? Why does it happen? Is it just moments of chance? Is it just the chaos butterfly effect that we live in? Is there something that brings those people into your life? Is it something more than yourself? I mean, just so many fascinating questions to think about. But you look at the situations that are going on right now with the possibility of us going into North Korea, and you also look at the possibilities of how everything is connected to an electronic system. If they turn off the lights, you guys, how long would it be before just complete chaos, the complete downfall of society as we know it would happen? How long would it take? And imagine what it'll be like in places like China and other places where they've got so many people in such small areas. I mean, what's going to happen in New York City? What's going to happen in Chicago? What's going to happen to LA if you guys have no power? I mean, do you remember, just if you're in Texas a few weeks ago after Hurricane Harvey, people were freaking out over gasoline. I mean, I even got a little bit nervous about that because you couldn't go get it. So I wanted to have some extra, and everybody else did. And what happened? Everybody ran out of gas for a while. So what happens when the stores stop getting stocked? What happens when they stop bringing you what you're used to and your life just goes upside down? I think that really the best thing we can do to prepare is be prepared, have food, have water, have means to live off the grid for a while if you need to. And then we need to learn how to rebuild. If it gets to that point, there's going to have, I mean, is there anybody listening to this podcast right now that knows how to build a phone? Is there anybody listening to this podcast right now that could actually build the circuitry and build a laptop? If there is, I have an idea right now that I want to patent. If you are good at engineering, if you're good at electronics, if you're good at putting things together, please get in contact with me at leakproject.com. I have an idea that I would like to patent that I think could literally make billions of dollars. So, and it could be the wave of the future. So please send me an email and we will go from there. But anyway, back to, it could also give us an advantage. It could also give the good guys an advantage because we are being, they don't like us very much, do they, guys? And who's they? I don't know. Do you know who they are? I mean, I'll tell you this much. Who creates what we know of, like, what's bad for us? We know what's bad for us. We know who makes it. I guess that's a start. But there's a lot more to it than that because most of those people are compartmentalized as well. Most of those people will just convince themselves because that's how they make a living. So there's a lot more to it. You know, that's just one tiny piece within a puzzle. So I would say we need to really learn as much as possible. We need to find as many ways as possible to survive in case of a situation that takes place where we don't have energy, where we have to get clean water ourselves, where we have to get food ourselves. And we'll leave it at that. So thank you for listening to this rant, and thank you for your due diligence and what you guys do. And thank you so much, everybody that contributed. I really appreciate it. Wow. Thank you. Thank you, Liv. Thank you so much. And also check out, before I forget, getthetea.com. I've been taking this stuff called colostrum and GI Joy. And as far as energy levels, wow, off the hook. And another thing I really like about this stuff is it's good for you. You just feel really good. So I do personally. I don't know what it'll do for you, but check it out. Go to getthetea.com. It's definitely worth looking into. This GI Joy stuff is like $38. You get a 2-month supply. You take one pill in the morning, one pill at night. It's got organic turmeric, organic aloe, organic probiotics, and organic colostrum. And it's 2 pills. I've also noticed for me, it's helped with digestive support. So I just digest my food better. I feel better after I eat. There was a while there that I really had to watch what I ate even more because some foods didn't settle with me as good. But I've noticed after this stuff, like the other day, I went and watched a movie and I had popcorn and gummy bears. I know 2 bad things that you need to avoid. I would not recommend it. But anyway, I took one of the GI Joys at nighttime. I've been taking them every day, and wow, so it was pretty cool. But anyway, that's my shameless plug. You will thank me later. They also have a bunch of stuff for immune support, all sorts of good products, and most of it's organic. And Ronnie actually knows what he's doing. I mean, he puts together products that work. Ronnie is one of the guys that formulates. He's the CEO of Get the Tea, and he comes on the show sometimes. So there you go. Have a beautiful day. Question everything, and be the change you want to see. And give me any more information you guys can on this Vegas situation. Selves, don't take my word for it. Make up your own mind. This is the guy. And, I'll tell you, what a just country singing Jason Aldean. Am I even saying his name right? I hope so. I've never listened to his music, but here's what's interesting is he has 19 singles that have reached #1 on either the hot country songs or country airplay. Hot country songs. Yep. 19. 19. Very interesting. Now let's take a look at this picture of Jason and look at that tattoo right there. Will you just look at it? Will you just look at it? You can see the black hole sun. Now, here's what's interesting is I actually have a shirt that I think is awesome. I wear it quite a bit, and people give me a hard time about it all the time. Hey, what's up, Jeff? Ladies and gentlemen, can I have your attention, please? We have Jeff Daugherty in the house, the Christian whistleblower, the man, the legend, the way of life. All right. Well, here's interesting points right here. Yep. I'll get to that in a moment. I'm losing track now. I divagated. Look at this picture right here. And then now let's go to a close up of the tattoo. A better picture right here. The Jack and the Ace card, the 10 and the 1, or the 10 and the 11, 21, blackjack, bingo, underneath the black hole sun. And you know what's interesting? Take a look at this tattoo. And in my opinion, this thing looks like the devil. It looks like an outline of the devil. You can see the horns. You can see, I mean, the eyes, the Jack and the Ace are kind of like the eyes. If you look at it from a perspective, especially if you zoom out a little bit, you know, just kind of look at the outline of it. You could even say that the microphone is like the mouth almost. Just very interesting. And then what is that? A peak? The Illuminati card that predicted the Las Vegas event 23 years ago. Ladies and gentlemen, Rex Bear League Project. How the heck are you? Just have to hit a couple more buttons here before we get started. Stand by. All right, cool. And it looks like the audio is going as well. I appreciate your patience. I have been battling Beelzebub, and a hornet just came in here. So I don't know what entity that was. No, I'm joking. But there's this fly that always shows up when I do podcasts, and you never know. But what are we going to be talking about today? Well, today we're going to talk about the Illuminati card. This one right here. The Las Vegas Illuminati playing card. The NWO edition. This is from Steve Jackson Games. And this card, as you can see, the Jack and Ace cards on the Las Vegas card. The Jack and the Ace, the Jack and the Ace. Well, what does that actually mean? Well, I don't know. I've heard several different things, but why does it matter? Here's one thing that's very interesting. If you don't think that the entire world is a stage, welcome to the New World Order. Jason Aldean, a country music star that was singing at the event, he has a tattoo of the exact same playing cards on his arm underneath the black sun, which is very interesting. So is that just a coincidence? Is this the ultimate psyop? Is this just another layer, another level of manipulation, predictive programming? You're a conspiracy theorist nut because you actually see something that makes sense in a very bizarre connection point, and you question the status quo. What does it mean? Well, according to some people, if you look at the numerological value, you know, an ace can be a 1 or an 11, a jack is worth 10, so you've got 21 or you've got 11. So the new 9/11, the new orchestrated event that was cleaned up by the cleanup crew, the Las Vegas card, the Las Vegas card. So isn't that just bizarre? I mean, isn't it just strange? I think it is. But you know what? It gets to a point to where it just makes sense. And if you go through, you guys should go through some of the comments on some of these videos that have been done on Vegas that are on Leak Project. I've had some great guests on the show. John D'Souza, retired FBI investigator, 25 years. Jay Campbell, he knows people that were in Vegas. And, you know, I read through the comments, and there's people out there I feel that are literally paid to just stir the pot, to come up with a, you know, throw something way off, put you in a completely different direction to where you just think everybody's a nut. So I've noticed there's been several comments where people think that nobody was hurt in Vegas. And there's plenty of people out there that you can talk to right now. I'm going to get them on the show. There's actually an email I got right after the event where two people, now this could be another psyop, you guys. I mean, who knows what emails I'm getting from who. I'm sure that there's misinformation thrown my way often as well. So I have to be very careful to present certain information, especially if I feel that it's just completely off. But most of the time I bring as many viewpoints as possible to the table. But Vegas, I mean, how bizarre. Now let's go into this a little bit. Let me share my screen with you guys, and you can decide for yourselves. Decide for yourself. So very interesting. Now let's talk about the Gremlins card. I get this card often when I'm doing live podcasts, especially. And a lot of times when I do certain research, I get the Gremlins card. This guy, I'm sure you've met Gremlins before. And do you remember back in the late 80s, the University of Utah said that they had came out with a cold fusion, and the media started talking about it. And then it just went hush hush after that. Just kind of, disappeared. Oh no, it didn't work. It didn't work. Do you guys think that there is a cold fusion technology? Because I would say, yes, I would say that there's definitely some type of cold fusion. I remember this was talked about a lot growing up in school. I heard of, we researched it. Do they even talk about it anymore? I mean, who controls the education system? Who controls the education system now? Corporations. There's 6 corporations that control the majority of the educational material. 6 corporations. Yeah, that's interesting. Here is another fascinating card. This is the Seize the Time. Somebody said the Gremlins are demons. Seize the Time card. Seize the Time. We've seen plenty of films. Science fiction's been talking about time travel now for hundreds of years. The question is it possible? Now, if you go in the past, by traveling in the past, does that change your dimensional reality? So does that actually change time? Can you go back to the future that you were once at? I talked to Jeff about this. Yes. Is that a peach he has on there? I don't know what that represents. Looks kind of, well, never mind. I'm not going to get into that. Hello. But check this out. Let's go here. So we've got this, and then I'm going to share with you the card again, the Jack and the Ace. The Jack and the Ace, blackjack. And it's also in the same, it's a Jack and an Ace, not an Ace and a Jack. I'm sure that's symbolic for more things than I am aware of currently. And I need to go through the comments again in the comments section. But I think that's pretty blatant right there. Wouldn't you agree? So there you have it. And then I'm sure you guys have seen, let me turn off the screen share here. So I'm sure you guys have also seen the sniper card. This is the sniper card. So anyway, yeah, I've got a shirt that has Chris Cornell in the center of it. And then it's got the black hole sun around it. And people give me there's so many people that give me grief about it. They're like, Rex, are you a Jesuit shill? You're wearing a Jesuit t-shirt. No, it's not a Jesuit t-shirt. It's actually, I think it's an awesome shirt. And I think it's paying homage to Mr. Cornell. So James DeWeaver, you should look him up. Great product. I've even got one of his coffee mugs he sent me. So anyway, this card right here, I want to share with you guys some more cards because yesterday I did the 23 different Illuminati cards that eerily predicted the future. If you haven't seen that yet, I'd recommend watching it. But, we just went over the sniper card, the Vegas card, the connections to the country singer that was actually at the event. Good old Jay.